I'm joined today with author and speaker Sean McDowell, and we are going to be talking about his favorite comic book character and how he ties that into Christian ethics. Welcome, Sean. Thank you for joining us.
Sandra, thanks for having me. This is a treat.
Yeah, you know what? I love your blog. I love that you kind of integrate pop culture and culturally relevant topics into the conversation about our Christian faith. And you had a post recently about why Spiderman is your favorite superhero. And you connect it to Christian ethics. Of course, you and I are both comic book fans and we love the movies and stuff. So I'd love to hear kind of your take on why Spider-Man represents Christian ethics.
Yeah, so when I get asked questions, I'm always thinking, is this worth writing a blog about? And for years, people keep asking me, why do you like Spider-Man so much? Who's your favorite superhero? Now, some of that is because I wear superhero shirts and I use superhero illustrations, and I've kind of got this athlete side to me, played college hoops, and I've got this love of like superhero side to me as well. So people would ask me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to write a blog. So when somebody asks me, I can just send them the response. And for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but ever since I was a kid, I mean, I have pictures of me opening up Spider-Man stuff when I was like 3-4 years old and just loving it. And I think there's two big reasons why. Is number one, Spider-Man's a relatable character, at least to me. I mean, I don't relate to Batman, this angst at losing his parents and being this brilliant, rich guy. I don't relate to Iron Man, the way he has his angst and he's a scientist in the world and a kind of an entrepreneur. I don't relate to Hulk. I mean, I have my moments where I get frustrated. My kids will tell you, Dad, calm down, you're okay. But this inner Hulk never connected with me. But Spider-Man's got he's a normal teenage kid. He gets his superpowers, but he can't deliver the pizza. He can fight the Sinister Six, but he, can't get the girl. There's always a sense of like, Spider-Man's the person next door. Plus he's sarcastic, and I'm convinced that sarcasm is the sixth love language. So I just always related to Spider-Man. And the second reason, I didn't think about this when I was a kid, just as I got older. Somebody asked me, what is it about the ethic of Spider-Man that you love? And for some reason, it just hit me that obviously what Ben Parker said to Peter Parker, he said, with great power comes great responsibility. I thought about that. I was like, gosh, that's kind of a Christian ethic, that God has given us spiritual gifts. He's given us, bodies and life and all these amazing abilities, but there's a responsibility that comes along with that. In fact, Jesus said, he who's given much, much is required. So I don't want to overread things into Spider-Man because I haven't read all the different comic book universes, but I think that defining ethic is very much a Christian ethic. At least we share that in common.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that was actually going to be kind of another point about that proverb, if you will, that with great power comes great responsibility. What are some of the other ethics that you see represented, not only in Spider-Man, but in some of these other characters? Because you've written about how Stan Lee really did incorporate some really good ethics in his characters. So what other examples are we seeing of Christian ethics in some of these characters?
Yeah, and it's not just that all the characters have Christian ethics. I think it's pretty obvious that they don't. I mean that point more from a storytelling perspective. Stan Lee absolutely brilliantly would have characters with a backstory that motivates their life ethic, and they live consistently with that ethic for the most part. You take Wolverine. He's an animal, and he kind of has this animalistic self-defense kind of ruthless character about him, but he's also deeply loyal in a sense. And you see that play through his character. Of course, Captain America. I mean, he's really just kind of defending America. He's this classical Boy Scout. There's that line in the movies about related to God that he gives. It's famous. Like, you could argue that Captain America really has kind of a more conservative Christian ethic as well. So he plays that up consistently with Captain America. But you also see people like Iron Man, who's a little bit of a tortured billionaire because of his mistakes, wants to do the right thing, but just struggles because of decisions and failures in his past. And you just look at different characters, even Black Widow. When you look at the history of where she came out of and she becomes kind of this assassin, you understand with her background why she acts the way she does. And at least in the movie universe, why she's yearning for this relationship and this family. And the Avengers mean so much to her because she's never had that. So in some ways, I just think Stan Lee is a brilliant storyteller, way ahead of his time. Nobody was casting these characters like he was. DC cast characters very differently.
Right. No, indeed. And you're talking about casting, you're talking about the movie universe. So when we think about this topic, what would be kind of an organic way to bring up these movies that everybody's watching? I mean, they're like some of the top grossing films of all time. So people are well aware of them. How would you organically bring up the conversation just about your faith in regards to these films?
In some of the Avengers movies, like I've asked people, like I think the Infinity War and Endgame kind of have the gospel embedded within it a little bit. Did a whole blog series on Infinity War and the gospel, and how when you watch Infinity War, it's about what's the value of a human life? What do we sacrifice somebody for? And this 10-year series climax is an Iron Man sacrificing his life. I mean, he's a Christ-type figure, powerfully so. So it's easy to just ask people, say, hey, what'd you think about the ending of Endgame? Did you find it satisfying? Did you think somebody else should die? You think there should be another way? Do you think there's any religious ideas in the film? I mean, it's honestly, it doesn't have to be that hard. The key is that you have a relationship, that we're not forcing it on people. I think people know when you're trying to like set them up for something, and that there's just a relationship there that people will listen, and it's the right setting. Like Thanksgiving dinner's probably not the right setting. So I think movies offer a powerful opportunity just to talk about justice, talk about social issues, talk about science and faith, and talk about larger issues of faith and the gospel. And sometimes it's as simple as saying, hey, did you see that movie? What'd you think about it? Did you enjoy it? What do you think the point was of the movie? Do you agree with that point? And you just start by listening. And oftentimes the conversation is off and running.
I think that's such a great point, Sean. Definitely just listening to people and being willing to ask questions and hear what they have to say. So where can people go to find your blog?
Probably the best way would just be to go to seanmcdowell.org. Or if they want to know my superhero stuff, just type in my name in Spiderman. It'll probably come up the blog, or my name in Infinity War. I write now and then. I did one on Black Panther. When I see ideas intersect with a Christian worldview, I like to write blogs on it. So if they follow at seanmcdowell.org, they might see these popping up now and then.